Hey! Hey, Zealand!
What do you want?
Is that the same thing you did already? It was like 4 months ago. You did the same thing.
I mean, I get it's kind of the same thing, yeah, but well, what else was I supposed to call it? It is the same thing. The last one was helpful.
Okay, man. That's cool. Love you, buddy.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna do this now. This is 10 tips to help you get better at Football Manager. Edition number 2. See, I initially made this video back in January. You guys liked it a lot, and the point of the video is that just playing Football Manager, I found a bunch of tiny little things I couldn't fit in other tutorial videos, which we've made a lot of, and I put them in a video where I collect tiny tips and then give them to you with the express purpose of blowing your mind at least once. If I fail to do that, I have failed you. I gotta bring you in. We're suave. If you want to hang out with me live, by the way, and hear me discover these tips live, I stream on Twitch 4 days a week. My Twitter and Instagram are also down there as well. The DMs are open, so slide away. But anyways, I've done it again. I sat down and put together a list of 10 things over the course of a couple of weeks that are just really helpful, useful. Everything from helping you move a lot faster through the different screens in the game to fundamentally changing the way maybe that you play Football Manager. So let's dance, pony boy. I need to get a new set of phrases. I had no idea where that came from. But I'm focused on this and giving you the first tip. Focus, Zealand! Okay, there we go. You can see which side a player prefers. So you know when you have a center back and they play in the, ignore how bad he is, and they play in the middle. Well, which side do they prefer to be on? And it's not something that normally always corresponds with the foot. It can usually correspond with the preferred foot, but if you hover over here, it'll say prefers to be on the right in a 2-man pairing, and sometimes it will tell you what side they prefer to be on, the 3-man pairing. For very obvious reasons, this is only available for every position in the center of the park, because if you're on the wing, there will never be another person over there. You're welcome. But there's one extra step I just didn't know, and I think I learned it 4 or 5 days ago. It's one of the last things I put on the list. You can just hover over the little circle right here, and it will tell you how much it matters. Tweet at Miles. He loves when people tweet at him. My second discovery. That second discovery had to do a lot with the Streamer Showdown that I played in this last weekend, because I tried a position and a role that I'd never tried before in bulk. And to show that off, I'm going to have to load up one of the tactics. So goodbye to my Genetos tactics. This is my Twitch save, by the way, in the second flight of Columbia. We're doing wonders not finishing last in the league. We're fabulous, which is what we were expected to do before you come in the chat. You're like, all those noises. Not here, sister. Despite this major issue of a fullback on attack on both sides not being able to cover that space, you can have a look at this heat map from the Streamer Showdown in the middle of a match. Where are my fullbacks? And this was consistent. This was every match. My fullbacks were starting from a super deep position that when you play them as a wingback, they just don't do. Tip number 2 is that fullbacks on attack are very viable for being defensively responsible, but also creating and looking to create some sort of threat. You need athletes, but don't just chuck them to wingback and complete wingback like I did for years. Don't overlook fullback. They have the work rate, the determination, and the athleticism to do it. Let them do it. Kyle Walker was the type of guy I was playing in this position, and despite his own shortcomings, he was very effective. Now it's time for tip number 3. For tip number 3, we're going into one of the few areas of the game that I've not actually made a video explicitly about, and that is your medical center. And in your medical center, you can see how many days somebody has missed throughout the course of the season and build an accurate mental picture of who gets hurt the most. And this is great for me because I treat somebody tweaking their hamstring for a day or two as, oh, this guy's injury prone if that keeps happening to him. But who has missed the most days throughout the course of the last 12 months? It is always present in medical center injury history. You will see a full line of people that have missed a certain number of days, and you can sort by timeout down at the bottom. So life is good. You now know exactly who to blame for their own body's shortcomings. Good for you. Now it's time for number 4. There's really no comfortable way to do that, is there? Number 4, we've got to go to the transfers section. Go to clauses up here, and then you see all of your clauses. And you don't just see the clauses in, but you see the clauses out. This is huge because you can ask on these clauses to cash them in. And I know I don't have a lot of clauses because I'm in Colombia and I just sign and release free agents, and that's like how we live with, you know, piles of kind bars. Come on. There's no drug trade anymore. Get at it. Focus. That kind of hurt. Okay. But if you're at a big club and somebody like me that buys players using, say, 50 league games clause, so if the player doesn't reach their potential, I don't have to pay essentially half the transfer fee, you can buy that clause out for less, and a club will let you know that it's available to be bought out for less. That's in the in section. And then if you go to the out section, you can let the club that you sold a player to know that you are open to selling that clause for less. So essentially what you're doing is you have a clause where you say, I will pay you $2 million after this person plays 50 games. But then this team that you made that clause with says, I'll just take the money now, pay me $1.4 million, and the clause will be erased right now, and the guy has however many games left. And you say, okay, cool, good deal. Sometimes a club will be open to it and sometimes not. But what I never knew is you could do the same thing. You could go to the other clubs that you sold a player for, and this means you might be able to sell players for a lot more money, is you sell the player up front for value, and then you add a clause that they're assuming they're never going to have to pay, but then you can say, hey, you can pay this clause off for like half value. You know, slip that in there, and then you just, boom, make some more money. Test it out. I just didn't know that section was there. I always say, I learn something new about this game every day. Always. Most of the time. Now, number 5. We're on 5 already, I know. On 5, we're going to go to training, and something that just I have finally started to actually do, and it's just changing my life. Instead of having to click into this and click around and do multiple things and hit confirm, if you get your wrist comfortable with right-clicking and putting in any extra bits of training that you want to do. And the main one that this can be used for is when your training comes up like this in an email and you see recovery and nothing, right click, match preparation, match review. It takes you less than 2 seconds. So you now have no excuse to do your match review. You can right click on the empty training spots, save yourself a load of time. Well, imagine what you can do with all that time. You can read a book. You can marvel at a sculpture of your own likeness. You can build a Lego race car and then put it on the shelf behind you while you start a streaming and YouTube career. And I didn't even build it. My brother did. You can drink maple syrup. You've never tried it. You've never lived. I always keep that thing on me. Okay, number 6. This might be the single most important one that I have on this list. This comparison screen saves so much time because what this screen does is compare groups of players or your entire team in any attribute you want to look at to the rest of the league. So if you just got relegated, promoted, or you think your team's getting better, or you think you might have overachieved, or you think you might have underachieved, you can look at whether that's the case. And you can find the weak spots in your team compared to the rest of the league, which for me, at Genetos, is very obviously defense. And this is kind of useless. This is height, age. This, let's go to defensive attributes. Attributes important for defense. And you can click across the top and it's already selected. This is just my defenders group. We are subpar in essentially everything. That's how we do it at Generals. Hell yeah, brother. If we click over to my midfielders, we see that my midfielders are actually better at doing defensive jobs because I still have defensive attributes selected. They're better doing defensive jobs than my defenders. They're better relative to their position in the league. But now let's look at their midfield attributes and we can see they now suck more. The names of the attributes, by the way, are along the bottom. So you've got like passing, long shots, vision, stamina, teamwork, tackling, technique, and decision making. Good thing we make good decisions. But if you've ever wondered how your team stacks up in any group of attributes, mental, technical, physical, attacking attributes, midfield attributes, defending attributes, maybe even your goalkeepers, click along here, check every position group you want to chuck in there, and you can see. Clear as day. Now, number 7. 7, we're going to go into responsibilities and staff. In the staff section, we're going to go to advice and reports. Now, I love staff. I really love hiring and orchestrating a staff. The workflow is beautiful, but there is something that helps the workflow even more that I'm very excited about. When you click on almost any advice category, you will get a ton of options about what topics of advice you care about and which ones you don't. This saves you so much time. You get this advice in your inbox. What do you care about? Do you care about suitable throw-in takers? No! I picked them based off of who's the best, and you can stop telling me about it. You can get rid of all of this stuff that you just read or pops into your inbox that you don't want. You can prune each of these reports to tell you just about exactly what you want to know about and no more. It's beautiful. Now it's time for number 8. It's only 6. Number 8 is something actually on the player screen. So when we've picked a player, 17-year-old Jose Luis Casedo, I think, you click on an attribute and you go right to the progress graph that I talked about in the last one of these videos. And if you want to isolate the attribute that you want to see whether it's getting better or not, you just click over to attributes and double click. Wait, we might have just found something here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go in through Flare. Oh my God! That's so cool! Okay, so follow me here. When you click on an attribute, it's composure, and then you click on dribbling, anything. Click on it once to isolate that attribute. The attribute that you clicked on to enter the screen, which is composure, will also show on the graph. That is brilliant. So in 3 or 4 clicks, you can see exactly how any given attribute is progressing. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Now it's time for number 9, which... That's 9. 9. All right, so 9 is for people that don't like to micromanage the way that, well, I like to micromanage. And you go to transfers, general manager, and then you can pull up these lists. You might have never heard of these before. They're called the development and unwanted list. And if you do not want to micromanage loaning out players and you do not want to micromanage selling players, you can go and grab Carlos Vargas and say, I want to add you to the unwanted list. Give him a selling threshold and say, you go out and negotiate this sale, and then you don't have to think about it anymore at all. And if you add them to the development list, your general manager, your director of football, as it might be called in your game, or whoever is assigned to this role, will grab the person and attempt to get them the best developmental loan possible. Loan managers will also do this. And now we're on to 10. Spicy stuff. Good job, Zealand. All right. Go to tactics and analysis. Don't eat Chipotle and click on analysis. In this analysis section, which I really haven't broken down nearly as much as I should have in any of the videos I've made, you don't have to click on anything else. Because if you're in poor form, this is tip number 10. Go here. What have you been good at and bad at in the last 5 games, according to your analytics team. So you come to me, you message me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm in poor form, what's happening? I will now tell you to go here and see what is the problem. And then you can go in tactically or maybe in the transfer market and try and put together something that's going to fix it. Bad touches to goal ratio, we need to up our tempo. Opposition long shots, we're doing a very good job of closing down people on the outside, or our defense is so bad that they're always shooting from close to goal. Problem for me is that the answer is option B. Our defense is so bad that they're always shooting from close to goal. We keep losing possession, and not just tell you these things, it'll say Miguel Herrera lost possession more than any other player. So what do I go? Where do I go when I get this information? I go to Miguel Herrera and I say, man, you gotta stop dribbling because you suck. And that's it. 10 tips put together over a couple of weeks, thanks to the Twitch chat in particular for teaching me a few of these things. So I look forward to seeing you guys on a stream perhaps in the future, or on one of the various social medias, sliding into those DMs like you do. And have a great rest of your day. Hopefully quarantine's a thing of the past for you. I'm from Florida. It's certainly not for me. Don't worry. I'm fine. I'm just eating a lot. He finally got one. Oh, and it was perfect. What a hit from Brian Galvan. I mean, 7 from Janetos. They just score so much. The entire front 5 has a goal.